Welcome everyone. For tonight, I'm excited to have Charon Paranormal joining us. This team has been investigating the paranormal for a long time, bringing a unique approach to the field, unlike what you see on TV. They focus on raw, unfiltered footage and gathering physical proof to validate their findings, with backgrounds ranging from paramedic to minister, actor, and just loving the paranormal to begin with. They bring diverse perspectives into investigating. Let's dive into their fascinating work. So, can you start off by introducing you guys?
So my name is Lou. I'm the founder of the group.
My name is Corey.
Bad trip. Been with the group for about a year now. Fairly good.
I'm Deanna.
And I know earlier we.
Steve over here, Steve.
Oh,
Little camera shy, but we really think he's maybe on like witness relocation. So he can't be on camera yet.
oh, well, we're glad to have you. Earlier, you mentioned seeing things as a kid that drew you to the paranormal. Can you share some of those earlier experience and what they were like and how they shaped your approach to investigating?
Um, so when I was a kid, it's kind of like oddball out, child of immigrants, so kind of didn't fit in, spent a lot of time by myself. And then occasionally, in the one house we lived in, I would always see things like out of the corner of my eye, or I would just see things go across like the floor. And of course, I would tell my parents, and then being very religious and very Catholic, I was almost punished for telling them that. And I was told not real. It's you're imagining things and stuff like that. But then when I would go different places, I would catch glimpses of things, or I would feel things, or get that intuition that you weren't alone. As I got older, I got more into it. When I was about 11, for folks that don't know, Leonard Nimoy, the original Spock on Star Trek, used to host a show that was called In Search Of, and every week was a different topic. And the one Saturday afternoon, I was in the house watching the episode In Search Of, and it was all about the paranormal. And ever since then, I've always been into the paranormal. So I was the weird little kid in the cemetery late at night with the Radio Shack recorder, and I guess people were wondering, where's this kid's parents at? But I was supposed to be at somebody else's house playing, but somehow I always found myself at like an old building or a cemetery. That's pretty much where I've been. And this group has been together since 2021 and 2022. I've had different groups, different incarnations. And then I just thought it was time to maybe come out with a group and put a group back together that's not all hyped up, that's not trying to become famous, that's not trying to become rich off the paranormal, that's not looking for celebrity, but actually looking for some interaction with ghosts, spirits, entities, whatever you want to call them. Even when we do EDPs and stuff, I throw out all different titles because we don't actually know if they know what they are or what we should actually call them. So,
Starting from the right, can you tell me what got you into the paranormal?
Steve's gonna like take the fifth on that, so I guess it will be Corey.
I used to experience things as a little girl, see things all the time. So I was always interested in that.
And can you explain, like, what kind of stuff did you see?
Apparitions.
And were you ever affected by them growing up?
No.
And what about you on the left?
Uh, well, my family's always been pretty sensitive to these sorts of things. At least my dad's side of the family, but it's like a dominant trait. So, but I didn't have anything happen in my life for a long time until like 15. Had some weird things just started happening suddenly at my house. I'd be taking a shower and the hot water knob would be turned all the way on me. The doors would start opening and closing, and I always try to be logical and think like, okay, it's wind, but then windows are closed. And then it was just this 1 week that was like really active. And then at the end of it, I go into my refrigerator and I grab something out of it and I turn around. There's an apparition of a woman all in gray in my kitchen. And I see her straight on for like a second and then she just kind of vanishes. And that really like opened me up to like, okay, there's definitely something to all this. I started like Blue. I watched shows like I can't remember the name of them right now, but like Outer Limits or other things like that. But I would always try to take like a scientific approach to things. So I got my first digital camera. I went out to the cemetery at night, which you shouldn't do. Don't trespass. That's a dumb kid. And I would take a bunch of pictures. I was really excited at the time about orbs and everything. And I come home, and because when you do science, it's good to have a control group. So I took a bunch of pictures in my own backyard. And then when I counted up all the orbs, there were more orbs in my backyard than there were in the cemetery. And I know my backyard's not that haunted. But that kind of got me down the road of kind of approaching things skeptically. But too many times, there's just things that happen you just can't explain that way. Because you just look at every possible angle you can on how to debunk things. And a lot of things you can debunk, but others you're just kind of left there scratching your head. And that's kind of what's been driving me to keep going forward on this journey and just try to figure out how spirits interact with our world. Like what's really happening at the more physical, mechanical level of how they do it. And if we can figure that out, if we can develop tools, techniques, technologies that can help us communicate with them a lot better and easier and more reliably. I think ultimately that's going to be what convinces the more skeptical and cynical world about whether this is a real thing or not. I'm thoroughly convinced that it's not in our heads. This is a real thing that people are experiencing.
Well, I think we can all appreciate that. I think that without people actually trying to debunk what's not really ghostly and stuff, that really shows the people that the paranormal does exist. Not everything's fake. And before we go off to you, is the house or the place that y'all are at, do y'all see a lot of shadow figures and stuff there?
Sorry, say it again.
Do we see shadow figures at the house that we're at?
In here, this is the second time that we're investigating this place. The last time we were here, we had some interaction with malfunctioning equipment and capitals going on. We did have some positive hits with dowsing rods. We haven't seen any shadows yet, but it'd be nice to see some shadows if something wants to come out and interact with us. I mean, each of us have seen things in different places, but this place that we're here tonight, and I guess it's okay I mention it's West Hill Manor in Burlington, New Jersey. It's a really place, a lot of history here, very well kept. We haven't had any interaction with shadows.
Wow. The reason why I asked that was because while he was talking, to the left window right above, I saw like a black mist go by. But I'm gonna have to go back and double take that. Are you guys recording right now?
Yeah, there's a camera behind me. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, it's facing the opposite way though. Oh, that's so funny. I'm gonna have to go back and see if that was an actual shadow or if that was maybe some type of pixelation or something. But moving on, can you tell us what got you into the paranormal?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. My family was always open. Um, where I live now, we were raised, my grandparents were raised, my great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. I come from a diverse background, from German and pagan to Native American, Hungarian Gypsy, and powwow. I have three out of my four children have seen apparitions. They're sensitive. I've had numerous experiences. I've never seen an apparition per se in my home. I've had the water go on, I turn it off, the water would go back on, the lights would go on, I turn the lights off. I would have scents and smells, and I would have people talking and mimicking voices, or it actually was my relatives or my parents. We don't do the typical burial per se. If somebody would pass away, they would stay in the home. Everybody would come to the home and view. Then they would stay down at we actually have a church on our property. They would stay down here. So I guess I basically was raised different, and my family was more open to death and to. I kind of like doing it as a hobby. I've had, like I said, I've had numerous experiences, and I'm just interested in it.
You just feel like you really connect with the paranormal.
Yeah.
So, y'all have mentioned that you don't typically use the equipment that you see on TV shows. Can you further elaborate on that?
So I find that the equipment, and I don't know if I'm going to get grief for this, or I'm going to get inundated with direct messages of people threatening me and calling me names, because I get all kinds of crazy messages from people telling me that I'm either jealous, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm trying to mislead people from people who know what they're doing. But I find that all the equipment that is sold is to make money, and most of it is you get false positives no matter what you do with it.
1 second, we're having some audio difficulties on your side. It's starting to glitch up for some reason.
Oh, maybe the ghosts don't want me to talk about TV paranormal equipment. But a lot of the equipment that you see sold and a lot of the equipment you see pushed gives you all the time false positives. I think if we started this investigation with all the equipment that you see on TV here tonight, we would have just been going from room to room thinking we were completely interacting with, all kinds of energies and spirits. And that there's no point in doing it. There's no point in going somewhere to use a piece of equipment that you know is going to give you a positive or false positive reading just so you can say, oh, and I hate to say it, brand name, oh, the K2 went off, or oh, the spirit box. We were talking to somebody named Jeff, or the REM pod was going nuts. Well, all of those things, you can easily manipulate them or mimic the data that they collect. I mean, if you got heat sensors, if you put everybody in a room and you shut the doors and there's 10 people in a room that's 11 by 11, the room temperature is going to rise. If you're in an old, drafty mansion, yeah, sometimes the temperatures are going to fall. Like the whole theory, when there's a spirit present, it's taking energy from the room. That's why the temperature starts to drop. But has anybody ever actually really proven that? I mean, we've been in rooms where it's gotten really cold. We did a prison one time, and I was in the condemned prison, and the temperature went from like a 70 to a 50, and then we got interaction with the catapult. And everybody would say, wow, there was a spirit in the room with you answering through the catapult, and the room got cold and all. And I would be like, yeah, okay, that's great. But I'm still going to say, yeah, but how's that proof? How can I prove that something from another world dropped the temperature in the room? The only thing that's ever happened to me with temperature, which was really odd, and Andrew can tell you more about it, but we were doing Burlington County Prison, and we were sitting in the condemned cell where they would lock up the people on death row, and I was doing the dowsing rounds. And I've never had this happen, which was really, unique. So I'm holding the dowsing rounds, and my hands started to hurt. But anyone that's done dowsing rounds, if you do them, in my opinion, the right way, you're so rock steady, you don't move. After a while, your hands are going to cramp up. So my hands were cramping up, but it felt like they were being compressed, and they felt hotter. So Andrew had a thermal camera, he had a thermal camera on me, and my body was one temperature, but my hands, temperature in my hands were going up, and I could feel my hands burning as they felt like they were being compressed. So that was odd. I mean, does that mean a ghost was holding my hands, manipulating the rods? I would like to think so, but can I actually say that 100% and say that's really what happened? No.
I can say that that's one of the head scratcher moments I've experienced with this group is hands were registering 101 degrees on my thermal camera, and I made sure I told him right afterwards, open your mouth, say and I put it in there, made sure he didn't have a fever. It was normal. It was under like 98 degrees in his mouth. So, and skin temperature is normally like in the 93-ish degree range. So 101 from just holding your hands there. That's something that shouldn't normally be possible. And I can't explain that. So it's one of the moments I love to experience when investigating.
And,
Girl.
I know I use Ouija boards, and it always puts people on guard. And we've been told, well, we don't like people using Ouija boards in our location because we're not sure people know how to open them and close them correctly. Well, who actually does? If you really go back and research the Ouija board, who actually came out with the rules and regulations on how to use one and how not to use it? So I think things like that are based on people's experiences, like anything else. So somebody might have had some kind of really cool experience with a Ouija board, regardless whether it was normal, or regardless whether it was positive or negative. They're going to tell you, well, when you do this, this is why you have to do that. But again, where is it written down? Where is the rules? It's not like, the recently deceased handbook that's going around and everybody knows the rules and regulations on how to deal with, the paranormal. There is no, in my opinion, there is no right or wrong. And these people that say you have to be careful because you can open portals and allow things into this world, I don't understand one thing. So when people, and I'm probably going to get a little bit off the topic, but when people sage or they have amulets or they have different things to protect themselves, if you really believe in different dimensions and beings from other dimensions or ghosts, do you really think that a spirit that can transcend time and space, you smudging a little sage is going to make this thing leave? Or do you think because you have an amulet or because you're holding on to something? I don't think so. I think it's you giving whatever you're using the power, but I think it's the person convinces himself that I'm safe because I have this. Because I don't believe in the whole attachment thing either. I don't know. I think if things are going to happen, they're going to happen. If you're open to it, then you're open to it. If things are really not of this world, but they're around us, they see that you're, what would you say? Like either neutral, open-minded, you're not judgmental, or you're not quick to dismiss everything. Maybe they're attracted to you. Maybe they say, oh, here's somebody I can talk to, or this is a safe person, maybe I can show myself to them, or maybe I can interact with them.
I completely agree. I say all the time, spirits were once human and they're still like that now. If they want to speak to you, they'll speak to you. And if they don't, they don't. If they like you, they might follow you. And if they like you, they might not follow you.
And a lot of we actually get more evidence when we're not, I'm going to do air quotes, right? When we're not ghost chasing or investigating, like if we're just sitting in rooms sometimes having conversation or having snacks or whatever, a lot of times the equipment's going off around us. So to me, that's like, to me, that's them letting you know they're around and they want to interact, but they're doing it on their terms. Because if you think about it, we're going into somebody else's house and it would be kind of arrogant. Like you're going to walk in there and these things are going to do what you tell them to do, when to do it, how to do it, and because you're there. And I also do think like some locations get burned out because we've done a bunch of locations where Like when we were in that prison and I was in the cell and I asked questions like, if you're tired of people coming in here bothering you, if you're tired of like having to perform for people, if you can give me one sign and light up the cat ball for me or make a noise or make something happen, then we will stay out of this area the rest of the evening and we'll give you a break. And a lot of times the cat ball goes off like instantly. There's no hesitation. And we keep our word. We don't win. Like when we're down here in the basement, we asked if something didn't want us down or give us a sign and we won't come down in the basement anymore. But nothing happened. Last time we were here, we had hits with the cat ball doing like a yes or no kind of session. So, and I think it's like anything else. You can't, I don't care the celebrities, I don't care all these people on TV and the internet. You can't certify a place on it, and you can't say absolutely there's nothing here. It's not like the small lady from Poltergeist and you walk in and say, "Oh, this house is clean." Nobody can do that. I just think it's up to the people that come in, and if there's something really here, if it feels like interacting with you, it will. If it doesn't, it won't. There's no
Right.
reason to this.
And girlies, can you tell us what has been your favorite investigation so far?
What has been my favorite investigation?
The girls.
Um, I would have to say, boots
Boot Brewery.
at the cat ball.
Oh yeah, that was kind of
Up
fun.
and down
Pull up the table.
Yeah. So in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, there's a brewery. It's called Booze, Bubes Brewery. If you go on a Facebook page, I have some pictures posted there. There's a picture of everybody sitting at tables because the second floor now they use it as a what you call it, like a hall. Like you can rent the second floor for occasions or whatever. And it was about 4:30 in the morning, and there's just it looks like there's a person standing at the bar, bent over, like they're really tired, and that's not any of us. And that was us just taking pictures, not actively investigating or ghost chasing or whatever you want to call it, how you do it. But a lot of times we get evidence and things when we're not doing it like serious. If you know what I mean, we're going to sit down to an EVP session. A lot of times when we're kind of just like having fun, we'll get a better reaction. So we went to this one private bar within the hotel part of Boobs Brewery. And it was Deanna, Corey, myself, and Steve, the guy in witness relocation over there. And he was sitting at a good angle because Deanna put some cat balls down and one started rolling down the table. And I'm like, "Hey, look at that." And Steve was like, "Yeah, there's like a divot in the table." And he saw it rolling down. But then it kind of turned and it went back up the other end. And we've never had that experience like that. So it was kind of cool. But none of us went screaming out of the room.
No.
None of us became possessed or levitated. Nothing followed us home. It was just, I think it was just whatever that was there, just having fun with us or just like letting us know, like, "Hey, we'll be here." I don't think we've ever been anywhere where we're like terrified. I mean, I sat in a conjuring house, probably 13 hours, like a year or two ago before all the drama first started. And pretty much absolutely nothing happened in it. We did dowsing rounds, we did Ouija boards, we were in every room. And if nothing else, the house just felt calm and quiet. Pretty much it. I mean, the only weird thing that happened was we went to sleep for a couple of hours and I left the cameras rolling and I had recorders all over the house. I had the AM/FM radio out. And that's old school. So you take an AM/FM radio, put it on a station where there are no station, then you just let the white noise go. So this way you're not jumping frequencies. It's always on that same frequency to see if anything comes through. So there were some muffled voices come through, but that could be anything. But then about an hour or two into it while we were sleeping, Pat Benatar's song came on and it was Treat Me Right for 21 seconds. And I thought that was like the strangest thing. So I don't know, is there a spirit speaking through Pat Benatar? I don't know, you want to be treated right at the Conjuring House, or was that just a weird fluke that it caught some radio waves that were transmission off of somewhere? I don't know.
You mentioned before that you like to use Ouija boards. What is your actual take on Ouija boards, and what have you experienced using them?
So I think a Ouija board is anything else. It's like you do. So when you're doing a Ouija board, you take on the role of a medium. And actually the Ouija board started with the planchette. It didn't start out with the board with all the letters. It started out with just a simple planchette. And there was a hole at the top. And you put a pen or a pencil in it. And that's when people would do a thing called auto writing. So if you're the medium, you put yourself in a trance and you would hold the planchette with the pencil in it, and it would write out a word, or you could say, somebody would ask a question and it would write it out. And then I forget the gentleman's name. The guy came along and he was the one, and it wasn't William Flood. It was somebody before him. I forget the name. But this guy actually put letters and name, or not names, but he put the letters and numbers and the yes and the no and the why in there. And then that's how the Ouija board came more that way. I've tried all different things with the Ouija boards. Like people say, oh, you have to do it this way to open it. You have to do this way to close it. I've done it a bunch of different ways. But this one time, and I've been using a Ouija board for over 30 years. And the only reason I use it, it's not like I really think we're going to get like some amazing connection or something's going to happen. A lot of times we leave the Ouija board set up with the planchette with a camera next to it. And we'll ask if there's a spirit in here, can you move that thing on the board? And it's never moved on its own. But this one time in Pennsylvania, in Berks County, in Douglasville, in a place called Britton Lodge, me and the owner, Eileen, were in a room up on the second floor, and we were doing a Ouija board. And again, that room got a little quiet. Everybody says, wow, the room's like really feels a lot more still than it should, right? But there, I had my 2 fingers for my left hand, and Eileen had her 2 fingers from her right hand, and my elbows started to get a little warm. And I'm just thinking, whatever. I mean, I got a lot of back injuries from my job, so a lot of times I discount feelings, thinking it's, my herniated discs and stuff like that. Anyway, the planchette on its own moved. It went up and over 1 3/4 inches. And Eileen looked at me, and I looked at her, and I said, did you do that? She said, no. And she asked me if I did that. And I said, no. And we went on with the rest of the night doing investigation, just thinking we just had a really cool experience, like almost like, something, I guess, like, ooh, we got blessed, like something actually was cool with us. So to me, it was like really cool that something interacted like that. But no portal was open. Nothing bad happened, Eileen. Nothing bad happened to me. The world didn't come to an end. I don't know. I know a lot of people put so much faith into these Ouija boards, and they think they're portals and gateways to everything evil and demonic. I don't think so. That's just me. I've never had a horrible experience with anything like that. I had one experience with an apparition, but it wasn't like what people would think it would be. I mean, you could do research on demons, you could do research on angel magic. There's so much research you can do on stuff, but again, there's no 100% concrete, this is what this is about. This is why this happens. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you should never do. Everything pretty much that everybody knows, and you could become a paranormal expert in a weekend just watching Google. And all you're doing is get what? Folklore, people's experience, different religious beliefs. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I'm sure pretty much everybody's going to go nuts or saying all that, but I mean, it is what it is, right? If you have an interaction, you have an interaction. Consider yourself lucky. I mean, just because something flies across the room, does that always mean it's something demonic and something wants you out of the house and something's trying to hurt you? But when we all sit around and ask for a sign, if whatever's there, the only thing you can do is throw a plate across the room. Why is that bad?
I could tell you,
people running out of the room.
I could tell you when my husband takes a shower, this one right here, his name's Kenshin, the clown. He likes to throw shoes at my husband while he's in the shower. So I definitely understand that. And he's not demonic. So
yeah, I mean, if you want an interaction, you want an interaction. But then again, it's like when you ask somebody for help, right? So somebody's going to help you, but you're not really in a position to dictate how the help is given to you, right? You're kind of like I don't want to say it's somebody's mercy, but if I say to you, hey, can you help me do something? I'm going to be grateful for whatever manner you can, give me the help. So when you ask for interaction with spirits, ghosts, entities, energies, whatever it is you ask for, they're going to do what they can do. If it's true that, it takes a lot of energy and force for them to be able to manifest something, then I guess they're going to do whatever's easiest for them. So knocking a book off a shelf or maybe pushing a door that's easily, opens and closes. Maybe it's not hungry. Maybe it's not plumb, so it's going to move easily. But all different things. I mean, I have things happen in my house all the time, and I just go about my day because it's not like terrifying me. It doesn't scare me. And I have animals in the house. A lot of times the animals notice stuff It's not like you see in a movie where they sit in a corner and they growl. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not saying animals don't perceive maybe something that's not nice, but I don't like to use the word evil. I don't believe that there's anything evil in nature. I think evil is man-made.
Yeah.
I think, and obviously, I think animals are more sensitive than we are. Just like children are supposed to be more sensitive because they're supposed to be more open. They don't discount as quick. Like if we see something move, we're going to be like, yeah, no, I think that table's not level. That's what I think. Because I think adults don't want to believe it, don't want to know, like, oh, wow, there's something in here with me. Whereas a kid would be like, oh, okay. Unless you're like yourself or us, we see something move. What do? We go to it. We go towards it instead of going the other way. Like, oh, that's cool, man. Do it again. Versus other people running out of the room.
They ask for it and then they're scared of it.
And the other thing we never do is we don't do the like you see some people or some professionals. We don't antagonize. We don't challenge. We don't do it. And why? It's not because we're afraid. It's not like we think we're gonna. Something's going to do something harmful to us or our friends or family. It's not cool to do that. You just, I would think you treat the dead as you treat the living. So if you're talking to somebody for the first time, you're not going to challenge them or you're not going to be antagonistic. You're going to have a conversation with the person.
So I am so sorry that I am forgetting names, but the lady to the left, um, what's your favorite thing to take on an investigation and your favorite approach to investigating?
I green light. What does that mean?
Sorry.
My green grid light. They laugh at me because I take it everywhere. But we were doing an investigation and everybody kept saying they saw something and it looked like they were peeking. A door kept opening a little bit and then closing. It looked like something was peeking. So if you shine the grid light, it puts a green grid, and if the shadow goes past it, it will break the grid up. So you can actually see that there's something.
But see, that's like scientific. That's not like something. So when you do, and you're familiar with doing laser grid. I mean, if something has to break that plane has to break that beam. So that's actually, is it a ghost? Again, can we say that? No. But something has to physically break that plane to cut off. So if we just make fun of you because
I always have that green flashlight.
But that's like Deanna in our group is designated the cat ball lady. She's the one that goes around when we start our investigation, puts all the cat balls out. I feel bad for her sometimes because I think we have sometimes we have like 40, 50 cat balls.
So, can you explain how you use biometric pressure in your investigations?
Biometric pressure?
I think that's right.
What's that?
I think that's right.
Yeah, no. So I don't have the device. It's broken. I got to get another one. But I used to use a pressure that measures barometric pressure in a room. So I think it's easily to manipulate the temperature in a room. Again, I mean, if the HVAC is not turned off, if there's bad electrical, I mean, if it's summer environment, the weather can affect everything. But I believe to change barometric pressure that you can't, I mean, maybe you could in the lab, but I mean, you can't really duplicate dropping pressure. That's more scientific. So I used to use that a lot of times. A couple of times I was in places where I would have like some interaction with cat balls and you'd see the barometric pressure would change. Not like a lot, but a little bit it would decrease or it would increase. So to me, that's like, something's got to be in here with me because what could possibly, if it's not the weather or the environment, what actually is in this area that can affect the pressure of the room versus the temperature. Like I said, we could all sit in a room, it's all sealed up, and yeah, the room's going to get hot because you got people in here breathing, inspiration, expiration. We're going to raise the temperature of the room with our body heat. But I don't think we could raise the barometric pressure in the room by us being here. Something has to actually affect it. To me, that's a more scientific approach, a more scientific device to use, if that makes any sense.
And for each of you, if for the listeners out there that are interested in investigating, For each of you, can you say one advice on what you would give them on how to get started?
Good, yeah, let's go.
Just,
What advice would you give a new investigator?
just be yourself. Just don't sit expecting to be how they make it on TV, that somebody's gonna like jump out. Like, sometimes we'll sit for several investigations and not get any interaction. I guess that would be it. It's just be yourself. Like Luke said, you know, we get more interactions just sitting talking than asking requests from the spirits. So, yeah.
I would say for me, my piece of advice would be, and this is something I just personally follow, but don't trust any piece of equipment that has an algorithm in it or is programmed. Like I don't trust any cell phone apps that tell you anything, or like set a curtain move over there.
Yeah, it's been moving over. I think it's
The door's
because
still
it's just,
gonna crack.
yeah, so there's red. Sorry, we're debunking the curtain movie.
But like start simple. Like start with a tape recorder or a cat ball, or like there's all sorts of very simple, cheap, affordable things that you can start with. I need started with a digital camera and a recorder, and I just went from there. When it comes to interacting with the spirits, if they want to interact, they usually have a good way of using something around that's on hand. So you don't really need anything super high tech. I like to go high tech because I like to run a lot of experiments. But if you just want interaction, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
I would say do your own research. Don't follow what everybody on the internet says. Don't follow what everybody in the TV shows say. Do your own research. And your own research would be, I guess if you're going to research a location, stay away from the paranormal history of the place, because then that always stacks the deck. And I think, you know, I've always said this when we go to places, I don't want to know, like when you go to a location, you know, they want to give you a tour. I want the tour so I know where we can go, where we can't go. And if it's a building that's not as nice as this, I want to make sure, like, you know, that we know what room not to walk into so we're not going to fall through a floor. But you got to do your own research. And if you do your own research, you got to try and remove, like, I don't think religion has any part in the paranormal. So that's already a bias or prejudice look. Just I don't think a lot of different stuff has anything to do with paranormal. You got to take it, and it's got to be apples, apples, oranges, oranges. But you have to do your own research without all the outside stimulus, so to speak, without all like, oh, well, this guy on TV on this show said you do it this way. Well, don't take his word for it. Do your own research. And like Andrew said, if you're going to use equipment, do some research on the equipment and find out why it works, why it doesn't work, what affects it, what doesn't affect it. Like a lot of times when people investigate your cell phone, if it's not on airplane mode or if it's on, it's receiving and emitting frequencies that's going to set things off. Walkie-talkies will set equipment off. Electricity will set equipment on. Security cameras will set electricity or set equipment on. Routers will set, you can tell I'm not the tech guy, right? So these other guys are the tech guys. But yeah, if you can go to a location, and I know I'm going way more than you said one word, but if you can get the location to turn everything off, turn the HVAC off, turn the electric off, turn everything off, let the house settle for a little bit, and then go in and do an investigation, that would be like optimal. Now you don't have to worry about the ducts, you know, expanding and contracting, and you're thinking, you know, when you say, hey, spirit, give us a sign and you hear the duct expand or contract, you know. But do your own research and do clean research without any outside influences like religion or people that have already done stuff. And if you read books on the paranormal, you don't have to investigate like it says to do in the books. That is one person's way of doing it because that's what their experience led them down to do it. Like we do our investigations our way. It didn't come about by reading a book. It didn't come about by going to a seminar. We just figured this is what we're going to do. and it works for us, and we have fun, and you know, it's safe, but you know, we get something out of it.
And what about you?
Um, I would have to say go in open. Don't expect something to happen just because somebody else experienced that. Um, do your own thing.
I agree.
Steve. You say something on camera. I'm good. Steve is great to have in our group because he is 100% die-in-the-wool skeptic, believes absolutely none of it.
Well, Steve, although you're off camera, we are glad to have you here. And if you want to say anything, please feel free to at any time. With
He's nodding his head, so but what's nice about Steve is as much as a skeptic as he is, and as much as a lot of times he wants to poo-poo something, which is cool, because a lot of times we all do that, he's still open. He still doesn't, he comes at it like, okay, convince me, show me, prove it to me. So he's not coming in with like, this is all nonsense, it's BS, whatever. He comes in and he goes, I got to experience it. And that, I think that speaks to his credit, at least being open-minded and non-judgmental. And that's the way to do it. You know, you don't have to believe it, but you have to, it's a good word, you have to allow it in if it happens. You know, and when it's happening, you can't, you know, like when we've had things happen, Steve doesn't jump up and, you know, this is nonsense, blah, blah, blah. No, he'll want to figure out, why did that thing just happen? Why did that equipment go off? Why did we hear that? Whatever. So he's skeptical, but he's open-minded to the experience, which I think is a plus. That makes sense. I don't know what words it, but very good. All right. See, nobody even saw the string move.
With backgrounds as a paramedic, minister, and actor, how do these roles influence your paranormal work?
They really didn't. So me being a 911 paramedic for a long time, and it's always funny because guys at work always, you know, they either call me like the ghost guy or the occult guy, which is really funny. But it's really funny. I guess like if anybody's ever had experience again, everybody's like a joke, and it's cool. I understand it. It's not meant to be mean. But then a lot of times it's really funny because people catch you by yourself and go, hey man, can I ask you a question? And then they want to tell you about their experience. Like, yeah, I was at home and this happened. What do you think? You know, and I can tell you one of the best experiences, and I know I'm backtracking, but I'll always remember this, and I get a little emotional when I tell the story. There was a guy at work who was really close with his dad. His dad passed away. He was very upset because he wasn't there when his dad passed, and he was packing the house up. And he kept telling me, and the guy saw me out at work, right? And he's like, "You're the guy that does the ghost busting stuff, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the ghost busting stuff." So he was like, "You know, is there any way you can come out to my house? Can you see what's going on? Nobody will help me, you know, pack everything up. Everybody's afraid, and I don't like being there. It doesn't feel right." Okay, so I go to the house, and it was an older house. It was in the Germantown section of the city, which is supposed to be one of our most haunted sections of the city in Philadelphia. So I'm going through the house. I didn't really get any bad vibes. I didn't get any like, "Oh, we better get out of here" kind of thing. So he insisted that he thought there was something bad in the house. He said, "Okay, let's do like a TV show." So we went to the dollar store, bought a bunch of crucifixes and things like that, and put them all over the house. And we even did old school, put the baby powder all around it to see if they actually moved or anything. Well, after a day or two, nothing moved, nothing happened. So we're in there collecting everything up. And then I said, "Dude, let's try it my way a little bit." So we're going from room to room doing EVPs. And we would hear like some creaking and stuff. And then we went downstairs to take a break. And I remember very vividly going to the kitchen and opening the kitchen door. And I opened the door and it was dark. And I don't know if anybody or you've experienced this. I'm pretty sure you have. You're in a dark room, but then the room becomes darker. And I don't think that's an optical thing with your eyes, with your pupil dilating or constricting, because in a dark room, your pupil should be blown because it's trying to get as much light in as possible. But I opened the door, and everybody's going to think I'm crazy. It was darker at the bottom of the steps. And somehow I heard a voice, but it wasn't audible. It was in my head. And it wasn't like my sixth sense telling me, well, you better not go down, like spidey senses or anything like that. Something said to me, don't come down here. Okay. So again, I don't like try to challenge or antagonize. So I was like, all right, don't come down here. So I shut the door, didn't think anything of it. And then we started to clean everything up. So now I'm in the living room by the steps. And something really didn't feel right in the house. It felt like something was coming down. And the guy that was with me, the fireman, he's in the kitchen. And I said, stay there, don't move. Why? I don't know. Because I guess because of my job, I always take a protective role. Even when we're with our group, if there's a place that looks a little sketchy or whatever, I'm always the one that will go in the area before anybody else goes in. Right? I always tell my group, nobody goes anywhere alone, but then I'm the one that's going by myself because I figure it's nothing going to happen to me. Right? We all think that. So I'm in the living room and I'm gathering up the stuff quicker because something just really didn't feel comfortable. It felt like a wave was coming. So I'm gathering all the stuff. I go in the dining room. He's coming in from the kitchen. I'm like, don't move, don't move. And I've never felt anything like this. And if anybody out there is like a true psychic medium or you can give me some information on this, I stopped in my tracks. Like I had that, I don't know what you call like that paralysis kind of thing. I couldn't move. And all of a sudden there was like this huge gust of air came through the house and I felt it go through me. And it was just the weirdest, feel like the hairs will stand on my, but it was the weirdest sensation I've ever felt in my life. And when it went through me, as it like, I guess, exited, it was like a big, like, sigh of relief, but not like you're scared or terrorized. It was just like, wow, it was amazing for that second. But the guy that was standing at the door, it hit him, and I was watching him. His arms were outstretched, his mouth was open, he couldn't move. He turned beet red like a lobster, and then it was over. As quick as it started, that's as quick as it was over. And he was like, oh my God, we got to get our stuff out of here. We got to get out of the house. I go, stop, take a breath. The house felt completely nice and calm now. And then I went right to the basement steps. I opened the door and I looked down the steps. And it was dark, but not like it was before. And there was no voice or anything going on. So I went down the bottom steps. Everything's cool. I come back up. And this is what I perceived. And then the guy asked me, what do you think that was? And I looked at him. I go, you don't know what that was? And he goes, what was that? I go, and I get a little choked up when I say this. I go, that was your dad. And he looked at me like I was nuts. I go, how do you feel right now? And he goes, I feel happy. I feel like a kid. Everything feels normal now. I said, I think coming from upstairs to downstairs, if this is even any truth to this, maybe dad was hanging around. He didn't want to go on to the next, wherever you go, because he wanted to speak to his kid. And it was just a coincidence that I was there. It was just a coincidence that we were getting everything together. And I just think like the energy, and again, I don't know, because nobody knows, right? Maybe the spirit, the energy left behind was ready to move on. And it knew that his son was down there. And it just was like, oh, I'm out, I'm going down, and I'm going to say goodbye to you. And it went through, maybe it wasn't supposed to go through me, but when it went through him, for him, it was a whole different experience. But I'll never forget that. That was the coolest thing, one of the coolest things that ever happened doing an investigation. And
It seems like it, sorry. It seems like it might have went through you because you're the one that it truly connected to for you to get that information to that person.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I just thought it was like I didn't know enough to move quick enough out of the way. But it was when it went through, it's hard to explain the emotion, but it was one of, I don't know if I can use the word bliss. It was one of actual, like just straight up happy. Like it was like the happiest moment. Like it was like somebody had a new kid, got the red wagon at Christmas, and won the lottery all at the same time. So that's, it was a nice feeling. It wasn't, again, when things happen, it wasn't horrible, scary, or creepy.
How do you choose which locations to investigate?
A lot of times we leave it open to the group. So my group's kind of different. I'm not like the boss. So like a lot of times when we set the house up, I'll ask, where do you guys want to start? I'll ask, when do you want to take a break? And a lot of times the group, like we did a place in Burlington called Peachfield, the Manor, Peachfield. Beachville. It's another historical big home. Steve got us in there because he brought it to our attention and he did the booking and all that stuff. And we have another lady in a group, and her and her boyfriend are here tonight, Ann and Kevin. And the last couple of investigations, Ann brought it to our attention. So we all research and we all kind of like, what do you think? You want to go do this place? And we're all like, yeah. And then one of us will just take it upon ourselves to either book it or contact the place. But it's whatever is available. And we try not to do the ones that are the most popular, the ones that are like kind of beat to death, if that makes sense. We try to do the ones that they allow paranormal investigation, but they're not like heavily investigated. So again, in my mind, I don't want to go somewhere that's been done like every weekend for the past 4 years, because I would think if there really is something in these poor things, could use a break. You know?
And
We also do private. So if somebody is having an issue and they want us to come check out their house, we'll do that too.
how do you document findings when something happens that the cameras don't capture?
How do we document it? Well, we can either write it down, we talk to each other, we backtrack the audio that we get, the video, and we just save everything. I mean, I don't think, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but you know, like tonight, I didn't sit down and take out a journal and put down what phase the moon was in, what the temperature was, you know, this and that. I mean, I know groups do that, and that's great. We're kind of like a little bit more, I don't know, loose, lackadaisical, but you know, we use cameras, we use audio recorders, we use things, and then you know, and everybody that's done this, you know, it's great when you sit there for 8 hours watching a room and absolutely nothing happens. But you have to watch all the video. And the same thing, like you listen to a recorder for how many hours and you don't get anything. But then when we get stuff, I know me, when I get stuff, I send it to the rest of them because I want them to kind of validate it, you know, be like a second or third source to either confirm it or say, were you like smoking something? There's nothing there in the picture. Like we did the Enfield Demon House in Connecticut, and we were in the master bedroom, and every time I'd ask questions, the motion lights would go on in the hallway. So I asked the question, the motion lights went on. I went out there, and all night long, we didn't see anything, but we thought it was odd that the motion lights would go on. And then I was looking at video, I saw nothing. Deanna looked at video, and she caught in the hallway when all the lights were on. It's like a big weird, and it's on the Facebook page. It's like a big puffy group of like marshmallows. We don't know what that is. So I think maybe that was something manifesting itself in the hallway every time the lights would go on. We just didn't see it with our naked eye, but the camera caught it. So, and then a lot of times I'll put stuff on Facebook and ask the public, what do you think? So that's the one thing I think maybe is a little different from us from other groups. We don't keep anything secret. We post a lot of our stuff. If we go somewhere and there's nothing to post, well, we're not posting anything. And I usually say something like, we were here, you know, stay tuned. We're going to review everything. If we find something, we'll post it. If not, we'll let you know. But when we get hits with the cat balls or recordings or pictures, I post them so other people can chime in and tell us what they think it is. Because, you know, as well as I do, you can show 20 people the same picture, and 20 people are going to see 20 different things.
Right. So, where could people find you guys if they wanted to follow and see more of what you find and investigate?
So the only place we're at is, I don't have a webpage. I know I'm a bad, like, I'm like a bad, like modern day guy, like, right? You would think I'd have a webpage. No. We just have the one Facebook page, and it's Charon Paranormal, and it's CHARON, para, and then normal is like a third word, and that's not because I did it on purpose. That's because I just accidentally hit the space bar and it separated the word para and normal. But I usually post when we're going on investigations, and I usually open the investigations. Anybody who wants to go with us. So of course, I want to talk to you a little bit first, because I don't want somebody that's going to do or somebody that might be like a detriment to the location or us. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit. But usually we have it open for anybody. And if any groups that are out there want to ever do like a joint group investigation, we've done that to help the costs down, because some of these places can become very expensive. If anybody just wants to go out and check to see what it's like, you can come along. You don't have to bring equipment. You can use our equipment. If you have the stuff from TV or movies. We're not going to tell you, no, you can't do that. That's the other thing, like with our, we've never told, or we've never, or me, I guess because it's my group, whatever, I've never told anybody, no, we're not doing it. I mean,
Right.
it's a pretty easy, safe, we have fun kind of group, and I think we get results because we're, laid back like that. There's no like my group, and I'm not going to throw names out there, but there's other groups where they make the members sign disclosure forms, and they have to sign contracts, and they have to sign exclusivity contracts. Like, if you're in this group, you can't go with other groups, you can't even speak to anybody. If you have equipment and you're on an investigation, everything on your equipment belongs to my group, and you can't show it. We're not doing that. That's a job. This is not, we're not doing
Yeah. When I work with people and I collaborate with people, all I say is don't blurt out where we're going until it's like a month or so beforehand. And that's just like so the viewers aren't like getting their hopes up and then it's like
Right.
Um
The other thing we do too is, and maybe this would have been a good thing, like with the, what would you tell a new investigator? We always ask the location. First off, you're going to respect the location. You're not going to give them grief, right? So if they say, like, if a place doesn't want us to do a Ouija board, guess what? We're not doing a Ouija board. But then we don't go on Facebook or social media and trash that place because they wouldn't let us do what we wanted to do, because it's not our location. You have to respect people. You have to have respect for the location. Right? So always ask about do's and don'ts, because most all the locations have do's and don'ts. And a lot of them don't want you to do things like that. And others are like, yeah, man, have at it, do whatever you want to do. And then we also don't put anything right out on the internet. So when I review stuff, and my group is so cool, they always send me stuff, and I'm like with Andrew, I'm like, dude, put it on the page. Just go right ahead. So like, if you're in a group and you put stuff on a page, it's not like you have to check with me, because everybody here, we're all kind of like of the same mind. So, but like tonight, we get stuff here. I'm not just going to go put it right on the internet unless I ask the location owners or the people that run it here. I get their permission first. So,
right. I'm actually going to the Ed and Lorraine house next year, and man, I'm telling you, because they charge you to review the footage.
they
It's
show to review the footage.
yes.
Wait, so if you go in there with a camera, oh, they want you to leave them the camera and they're going to charge you, or you have to use their equipment?
So you could have your camera and they also provide you cameras. You just have to have your own SD cards. But like before you post anything on the internet wise, they you have to like pay them again for them to review it.
See, that's why we say the paranormal, it's sad because it's become a cash cow. I mean, everybody's losing it. And I know, like, there's shows out there, and there's this one place we did. I don't want to say a lot of the things because I don't want to get the location owner's grief, but I don't want to start any kind of feud or whatever, because let's all admit it, the paranormal field, there's a lot of pettiness going on. But there's shows that go in and take over the location's Facebook page and web page, and then they set the prices and they do the booking, and the location people, yeah, they're making some money, they sign a contract, but then they really can't do anything any longer with their location, and they're stuck. I think that's ridiculous. And then one place that I'm thinking about, we went there, and it was just Corey, Deanna, and myself. We had some interesting things going on. And then this place got into a show that televises from there. I want nothing to do with it. So when you go to this place, they leave all their cameras on. They film you investigating. And if you get something, it belongs to them. So I'm like, no, not doing that.
Yeah, no, I would never investigate there. So you're gonna have to DM me and tell me that place, so I know.
Because, some of these location owners, these people come in and they drop all the big names and, who they're affiliated with and what network and this and that. So a lot of these location people, and we all know, like, a lot of these historical places, they're not getting like money like hand over fist. It's all about donations. They have events, they hold fundraisers. That's how they keep the places going. And I guess they dangle that carrot in front of them, like, this is how much you're going to make, this is what we're going to pay you. But then they lose all control over their own place. And then, I don't know, that becomes a circus. And then it's like, yeah, I don't want to go there.
I agree. Well, I am about to end this, guys. I gotta lay my kids down to bed again, my oldest ones. But I was gonna investigate with y'all, but I'm running out of time. Gladly keep in contact. You can gladly keep in contact with me. I would be happy to plan something out in the future with you guys, investigation wise, in the future. And I thank you all for coming here. I really enjoyed you. And is there anything else you would like to say?
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
definitely would like to come to North Carolina and see what you got going out in the woods of yours.
Yes, yes.
It seems like it would be a good springtime investigation. Not too hot, not too cold.
Yes. Just let me know.
Steve will talk to you.
Hi, Steve. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience and insights with us tonight. For our listeners wanting to follow Charon Paranormal's investigation, probably said that wrong, but it'll be okay. Where can they find you? Oh, we already went through that. Sorry. Thanks for joining us, and keep seeking the truth out there. This is Haunting Travels, and stay true, stay spooky, and be you.